Flashback, Episode 53, The Book of Job and the Devil Unleashed. I was struggling with reconciling our actions with the results that we had achieved on God's mission quests. I wondered if all the wrongdoing that we had done to accomplish the good things that we had done, was it all truly justified? I wondered, were we justified? Where was I in losing our way? Were we all falling away from God and thusly moving closer to the devil? It was just so much violence and death and destruction. It was all weighing so heavily on me. Katie reminded me, "Rick, remember what Sarah said about how the fulcrum having no guardian angel, remember? And how the fulcrum had no heavenly protection at all, remember?" Katie added, "Remember anyone working even with the fulcrum or who was even around the fulcrum? They would also lose their guardian angel and heavenly protection. It's like the fulcrum was born with a dark cloud, a curse overhead, in exchange for celestial connections and powers. Well, Richard, you are cursed to have a dark cloud that follows and rains on you and rains on everyone else that you partner with." Katie reminded, "Rick, remember what Sarah said too? Why you cannot have any celestial help, protection, or anything. Remember, she said, you and we can't have heaven's help because you can't be influenced, and because you must see reality, as she said, for what it is. You must see reality for what it is. All so you can make an informed, objective decision, and judgment of humankind would be fair, I guess." She said, "You cannot be shielded from hell-spawn threats and trials." Remember she said that? "Or even everyday misfortunes." Katie then smiled widely and exclaimed, "But that's why you have us. We are your guardian angels. We're your heavenly protectors. And we are your friends," Katie announced. "So you are not alone, despite being the fulcrum of prophecy. He who has no guardian angel or heavenly protection has us." Katie said, "And of course, you still have God, and you have your faith." Katie comforted, "Things can seem really hard and unfair at times." She sighed. "I know that for me. I have had my own share of bad times." Katie declared, "But together, we can overcome anything." She smiled. "United we stand, and together we stand as one." Sarah smiled at Katie and encouraged, "This is great, Katie. You are spot on." Sarah continued, "Perhaps, would you consider sharing how you see Rick's role as the fulcrum of prophecy and how it might relate to Job, of the book of Job, from the Old Testament?" Katie nodded in agreement. "That's a great idea, Sarah." Katie added, "The book of Job is often misunderstood, even vilified, but people are wrong." Katie explained, "The book of Job tells the tale of a man named Job. He was wealthy, and he led a fine and comfortable life with his wife and his children. Job was very pious. He was extremely faithful. But the devil mused once with God that Job might not be so faithful to God, were his life harder and much more troubled. If Job's life was not healthy, wealthy, and fine and comfortable, the devil mused, would Job really remain faithful to God? Especially, would Job be faithful were he to lose everything, even if he lost all of his children? And so, as a test of Job's faith in God, the devil was unleashed onto Job, and Job would have no help from heaven or from the angels. Job would be on his own against the devil and against all of hell's hordes. Katie said, "You know the phrase, 'The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away'?" She added, "That's from the book of Job." Katie continued, "Well, the devil made sure that Job lost everything, his health, his wealth, and his children. But Job, he was faithful despite losing everything at first. But later, Job's faith, it began to falter. He questioned God for what seemed like disproportionate wrath and torment inflicted directly and willfully onto him. Job questioned, how could God let such horrors happen to a faithful man, to him? Katie further explained, Job's self-pity externalized, though, over time. And he questioned, how could God let evil and suffering run amok in the world at large? Job questioned, how could God allow so much woe and sorrow to afflict so many people? Job wondered, how could God, the Almighty, have let evil overtake the world and inflict so much horror onto others? Job challenged that God allowed wickedness and wicked elites to take advantage of the needy and the helpless, and let them oppress and impose significant hardships and suffering onto others. Katie said Job did not understand the complexity of God and heaven. He did not understand the devil and hell, the nuances of faith, and so much. Katie mused, how could he? He was just a mortal man, and God was God. Katie declared, God is so beyond us that we, like Job, cannot begin to comprehend why things are the way they are. Katie smiled. When all was said and done, Job's faith returned fully to him after he saw God in the form of a whirlwind who spoke to him, albeit in a divine monologue. With Job's faith restored and proven to God, God restored his wealth, his health, his children. They were all restored. Because despite all the hardships and doubt and suffering, Job ultimately remained faithful. Everything that Job had lost was restored, returned, as if his torment had never happened, because Job ultimately proved his total loyalty to God and his glory. Katie sighed, even pain, suffering, death, and loss, they all have purpose. I don't know what God has in plan for us, but I do have faith that it will be whatever God wills it to be. Katie said, I am confident. I have faith. I have to have faith. I have to have faith that God has a plan for us even if we do not know what it is. Katie said, the fulcrum, I think, is a lot like Job. I see that now. Katie described, so the devil is unfettered to corrupt and prove humans are evil, so that Richard will see and believe that people are self-serving and selfish en masse, that they are inherently evil at their core. Sarah nodded and said, yes, the fulcrum of prophecy in many ways is being tested, like Job was tested. Sarah explained, like Job, the devil has been unleashed onto the fulcrum. Therefore, the devil has been unleashed onto Rick, and unleashed, therefore, onto all of us as well. Katie surmised, you know, I think there's a little bit of Job in all of us. There's just a whole lot of Job in Rick. And while we are with Rick, we will also have a whole lot of Job's challenges and torments in us, making everything we do fraught with risk and just super, super hard. I guess like we are all on life's difficulty setting of hell difficulty. Katie declared, but we cannot give in to the devil, no matter how hard things get. Sarah cautioned, like Job, we can question, even doubt at times, our faith. But we cannot ever, ever succumb to dark thoughts and lose our faith in God. Sarah said solemnly, gravely, if we lose our faith in God, everyone and everything will be damned to hell for all eternity. Katie declared, that won't happen. We won't lose faith. We are, all of us, together to the end, with God and with faith on God's mission quest. Katie announced, we will never give up on humanity or on God. No matter how hard things get, we will always be faithful to each other and to God.